You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with your host, James Creviston.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast, and it's me, James, again, and I'm back, and I have a great guest. This guest is actually, first of all, I'm new to finding her, so I was, ecstatic when I did, and now, I think this is going to be an awesome interview. You guys are going to have so much fun. I already had fun in, the few minutes before the podcast talking to her, so you're going to love her. She's done the Glasgow Comedy Festival, the Boston Comedy Festival, Montreal Just for Laughs, you name a festival, she's been there. She's been on Last Comic Standing, Gotham Live, Saturday Night Live, Jimmy Fallon Show, Tyra Banks Show, Nickelodeon's Mom's Night Out, which I know is a great thing because I've had a few friends who've been on that as well, and Sherry Shepherd's Stand-Up Showcase. I mean, literally, she's probably somewhere on a show that you have on your TiVo right now or something. Like, she's there. I guarantee it. So please welcome the very funny, the very talented Kendra Cunningham. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, James. It's so nice. I mean, I got to tell you that list made me sound, it validated me. So thank you.
As comedians, that's our whole job, right? We want to be validated. We want people to respect the time and energy that we put into our craft. So I love when I see people with lists like this because I'm like, you're out there killing it. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So I'm so happy for you.
Well, thank you so much. It's funny because, as somebody who's been in comedy for a while, you start to hope that the industry is going to pay attention to you. And it's funny when I'll meet with an agent or a manager and they're like, well, it's great you're doing, they'll literally say it's great that nobody knows who you are.
You're like, I don't want that. That's not what I want.
Because they see that as a plus because they can treat you as an overnight success or whatever they want to, however they think about it. But I've heard more than one time I've been in a meeting, they'd be like, well, it's great. Nobody knows who you are. I'm like, ow.
Yeah, that is hurtful, right? You're like, that's not the goal. The goal is for everyone to know who I am. I want to be able to walk down the street and people go, Kendra. Like, hi. Yeah, that's what you want. You don't want, you want to be interrupted at your meal. You want someone to be waiting outside your stall when you're going to the bathroom. All that stuff. That's what we want.
It's funny though, the first time someone said it, I was like trying to spin it in my head. I'm like, oh, so it's a good thing. Okay.
So for people who don't know you, okay, tell us a little bit about you. How'd you get into stand-up? How'd you get started? Where are you from? Your whole origin story there.
Well, so I grew up, I'm originally from Boston, a little bit right outside of Boston. I grew up in Milton, Massachusetts, till I was about 13. My parents got divorced with me, my mother, my sister moved to Quincy. But I didn't really start comedy until I moved to New York. And I basically wasn't really intending, it wasn't a dream. It was just like, I wanted to be a writer,
Okay.
And I took this one-day workshop of joke writing classes. And then I ended up at this place called Gotham Writers Workshop. So you could do a one day for cheap money, and then if you liked it, whatever you paid that day would go towards the 8-week class. So then I took the 8-week class, and I basically ended up taking classes and doing graduation shows. Because if you take a class in New York, at the end they'll put up a show and you get to do 3 or 5 minutes. And I think I did that for 3 to 5 years. I didn't really understand that I could do anything more, or I guess, I don't know if it was that I didn't understand or that I didn't really just think about it because I was working full time, blah, blah, blah. But I remember I submitted to the Boston Comedy Festival. I was living in New York. I submitted to the Boston Comedy Festival and I got in. And I think that was 2008, maybe 2009. And I was like, oh, all right. People think this is legit. People think I'm funny. Yeah. And from there I started kind of, producing shows, making sure that I had spots every week, that type of stuff. And it kind of just snowballed from there. I started doing web series with my friend Vicky Cooperman. And then, I can't believe it's been almost 20 years. It's I should have opened a bakery.
I love that you started as a writer, wanting to be a writer, because that almost shows you how comedians are. Is like, we want to do this safe. I want to do it when I want to do it, like the safety thing. Because I also love writing, and I do a lot of writing for stuff, commercials and web series and whatever. And so I know what that's like. And you go, writing's easy. I can do it on my time. I can do what I want to do. And if someone comes at me, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But on stage as a comedian, you're vulnerable. It's like being, I hate to say it, it's like being naked in front of another person. You're just, I was like, look at me, and then they're like, yeah, we're gonna judge you now. You know, like it's so awkward. It's a first date every time you go on stage. That's really what it is.
Absolutely. I remember when I first started, when I would do these shows, when I do these graduation shows, I would always get these notes, you know, the club or the person running the show would be like, you know, you're a good writer, but you have no presence. You have no performance, you know? And I would get so mad and I'd be like, it is about the writing. It is about the writing. And then after I started doing it a lot, and like, I realized it actually feels better when you're a little more like, you know, loose and not just up there like,
This
set
is my
up,
set.
premise, punch, set up, whatever. I was like, oh, all right, now I get it. But it's like one of those things you have to live and learn, for me anyway.
No, 100%. I started taking improv for that exact reason, so I could be a little more loose on stage and a little more flowy. Because yeah, you do your bits, you work them, you write them, you know, you do all that work, and you're like, I got to do it the right way. You get up there and you do it, and people could tell like you're in your head doing the act, right? They know that what you're doing, and so yes, they laugh because you're good at writing, you're good at putting it out there. But it's not the laugh that you could be getting. You could be getting a laugh 10 times bigger if you sold it more. And so I had to start doing improv because I had friends like, hey, you're not smiling on stage. It looks like you're not having fun on stage. It looks like you're, you know, reciting the act from your head. And I'm like, I am having fun. I hate my smile, and I am doing my act from my head. You know, like, like.
Well, the funny thing is that, you know, I guess it took me a long time too to like understand that, like, and I think sometimes too, I still don't understand it, that like, you know, the audience wants to feel like they're really connected to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're having this special one-on-one relationship with you. And like sometimes when I perform, I'm like, you know, I don't care what the audience thinks. You know, those nights when you're just like, I don't care. Which is not a great place to be, but sometimes you find yourself there. But I think on the nights when I'm like more like, you know, this isn't just about me being creative. This is about the showmanship.
Yeah.
I end up having more fun too. And in a weird way, it takes it sort of like lightens the load. You know what I mean? Because you kind of are relaxed and more like, let's see what happens here. Let's roll the dice.
Yeah. Now, I watched the trailer for Meatball Therapy, and you look so relaxed. You look like you're having the most fun ever. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, I had a blast. Well, first of all, you know,
I love your outfit, by the way. Can I just say that?
Well, thank you. I think that outfit helped with my amount of fun that I was having. It's hard to have an outfit like that on and not really feel like,
right?
Let's have a good time. But yeah, no, I had a lot of, so I'll just say quickly, the story behind that is that like I was doing this show in New York at Don't Tell Mama. I was doing it as a one-woman show called This Could Be You, and that was in like 2000, I guess 17 and 18, or 18 and 19. I'll have to look. And then I was gonna, I guess it was 18 and 19. And then in 2020, I was gonna bring it back, and then, you know, everything happened. And then, so when the pandemic was over in 2021, I was like, I'm just gonna do it one more time and film it, and like, we'll see if we wanna keep working on it or whatever. And so that was the night. So that was like one of the first nights that I really went out to a big crowd that was there just to see me, really. In New York in a couple of years. So I was having a particularly good time.
It shows. It shows, and the quality of it shows. I watched the trailer. I was laughing. I was like, "This is going to be awesome." And I could tell you're very much an East Coast kind of girl. Like, just you
Mhm.
have that vibe already. Even if you didn't say you're from Boston or anything, like I would have totally got that. And so it was really enjoyable. I love it.
Oh,
Because I
thank you.
like my stepdad is from Boston. Um,
Oh.
I love Philly. That's like my second favorite place. And if it didn't snow, I would 100% live there. Like Philly's my kind of people. And then been to New York so many times. I love New York. It's like a great city. So
That's
I
amazing. Do you know where in Boston, like what area your dad's from?
I don't remember the place. We went when I was younger up there, and I remember this is going to sound funny, and you'll get this because we went there, and I'd never been to like the ocean, like the Gulf of Mexico, because I grew up in Texas. Gulf of Mexico, not really the ocean, kind of, sort of, but not really.
Right, right, right.
So we get there, we go to Cape Cod. I see the ocean. I jump out of the car and run and jump into Cape Cod. Now, right?
Cold.
So cold, no idea. I jump in, my stepdad goes, "How's it feel?" And I go, "I'm freezing." I jump out and run back to the car. And he goes, "You're an idiot." Like, I don't know what you so yeah, I've swam in the ocean on the East Coast one time and one time only, and never and for about
Yeah.
5 seconds.
I love Cape Cod. I mean, we went down there almost every summer when I was younger, and I feel like it's a place that I would love to either live or like spend 3 months like being like the artist life.
Yeah. Like definitely not winter, but like the rest of the time for sure.
Yeah.
But winter, no way. But it's great. So you have been in New York. You've been doing all this. Now, with all those credits on there, I kind of have questions because SNL is one of my favorite shows. I have friends who've done Last Comic Standing and done stuff, and Gotham Live is always amazing to me. That's like one thing I've always wanted to do. Tell me about SNL. What did you do on SNL or with SNL?
It's so funny how how this happens that you put down something and then suddenly it's so both SNL and Jimmy Fallon. I was basically in sketches.
Okay.
So SNL, I was in a sketch. I mean, this is gonna show my age. I shouldn't even say it, but
You're 21. It's okay. You're allowed to talk about it now.
it was with Bernie Mac.
Nice.
And it was a hot sauce sketch, and they like made hot sauce. It was like a hot sauce purse.
Okay.
But anyway, it was like one of these things where you just have those moments where you're like, oh, I want to be like doing what that guy like someone else is doing. And I
Yeah.
just remember like I had like I think I had one line, and most of my thing was making faces that like they would shoot to me and I would like make a face. But I just remember being on set and being like, I want to like have a part. You know what I mean? Like I want to be the star, or at least like the sidekick here. So that was that. And then on Jimmy Fallon, it was their pilot, like it was like their pilot, which is another
Wow.
like, oh my God, it's so long ago. But I was the sketch was called The Blonde Moms from Connecticut. And I was one of the blonde moms from Connecticut. And believe me, I have used that to email Jimmy Fallon Booker to try to get on the show a million times going, I was in the pilot, I was a blonde mom of Connecticut. No, we do not care. And we will not respond to your email.
That's awesome. SNL is like one of my favorite, and I always say I said this. We talked to a friend, like they're one of those like people that like, what are your dreams? What would you like to do? Like, what do you think? Kind of people. And I was like, look, I want to be famous enough that I get to host SNL one time. That's it. That's it. I just want to do it once. That's it. I don't want to be on SNL. I don't want to like have that because I know what their life is like. I listen, I talk to a bunch of people. I understand how hard that job is. I don't want that.
Yeah.
But hosting it one time, yeah, please.
Yeah. Yep. That would be amazing. I know. People will say to me, oh, I hope that, I'll say I knew you when you were rich and famous. I was like, I don't really care so much about the fame. Just give me the rich part.
Yeah.
I just want some money so that I can like make the things I want to make and not answer to like
Everyone
13
else.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the dream. So as a writer, like I see that you have like stuff that you write on your little journal on your site and stuff like that. Do you want to write a book? Like what's your goal for writing, for comedic writing?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I write a lot of the scripts for my web series, and my two other goals, I guess, would be to do a feature film, and also I would love to write a book. I actually looked into a class. I'm big into classes. I looked into a
Same.
class about writing a book, and it just wasn't. I wanted to try to do the class before the end of 2022, but it was just like it wasn't going to work with my schedule. So I'm hoping to sign up for a class at the beginning of 2023, just to like
That's
get some accountability and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually had to like, because I ghostwrite for a lot of stuff, and I had like a pitch, like somebody pitched me a book to write a book, and they same thing where they said it's good that no one knows who you are, so it would be good for you to write. I was like, that's kind of hurtful, like, but
Yeah. Yeah. So have you ever written a book for yourself?
I wrote a how to produce comedy shows book, because a lot of comedians asked me about producing comedy shows. I used to produce a bunch in LA, and I worked with a lot of other people to produce stuff. So any advice someone would give me, I would write down. So I would just keep all that stuff, and then I took it and just started like, as I started to like add it all up in a Word document, I was like, this is like a book. Like this is a book of stuff, and I was like, I'm just gonna put this all together and do the formatting and make sure I do it. And it's on its third edition, because every time I learn something new, I'm like, oh, I need to add that,
Right.
or I need to put this in there.
Right.
So we just did that. And then my buddy David Studebaker, who is an amazing actor and voice actor, he did the book reading for which I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna use like a nonfiction to listen, but I guess people do. I guess people do listen to nonfiction books. So he did the audio for that. So it's on like Amazon as a Kindle book and Audible as an audiobook.
So cool.
Yeah,
I'll Google it.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for, I haven't produced in a couple months, but I do produce a lot of shows, and I'm always looking for words of wisdom.
Yeah, and the best part about us, especially as comedians, is we learn from our peers. We learn from people who are doing the same thing that we're doing and the things that we want to do. So when you hear someone drop a piece of advice, I don't know about you, but me, I write it down on my phone like right away, like, okay, that's a good idea, And so
Yeah.
I always love it. Now you produce your own shows a lot, or you were producing your shows a lot. Meatball Therapy was previously a one-woman show that you were doing. How long? What's the process of doing like a one-person show? Is it similar to stand-up? Is it more like a play or like a film? Like, kind of tell me.
I you know what? It's funny. So I went to see this solo show. Somebody invited me to go to a solo show called Life Behind Bars, and in New York City. And it was, I'm not bartending right now, but I've bartended for a long time in New York. So one of my bartender friends invited me, and it was about bartending, and this bartender, and I can't believe it, Dan Ruth. Oh God, I hope that's his name. It was a very good show, and it was it was autobiographical, and he was a bartender for a long time in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and became an alcoholic and had like psychosis from alcoholism, and got help and is sober. And so anyways, it was a very, very, but it was also very funny. And so after the show, I went up to the director, Tanya Moberly, who directed my one woman show, This Could Be You, that's now Meatball Therapy. And I was like, oh, do you ever work with people who, I don't know anything about this world, but I would love to like do an hour show has like a narrative through line that's not just stand up, but I still want it to be funny. So anyways, I started working with her, I think in January, and we put the show up for the first time 6 months later. But I would go and spend 2 hours with her. I want to say, I'll have to look. I think at first I went like once a week. And then as it came to be closer to the time, I would go twice a week. And it was just a lot of, I would write at home and then come in and we would spitball about it, and I would get up on the mic. And so it was really just, I think it would be really cool, as comedians, if we had that person who would just stand with us for
Yeah.
an hour and be like, here, let's work on your act, and I will
Yeah.
be your sounding board. You know what I mean? I think we would be able to grow and develop so much quicker than getting on stage as much as we do. So I loved that part of it. And honestly, after I did the show, I was like, "Ooh, I wish I had that for comedy." And I
Yeah.
kind of worked a little bit with somebody, but you got to find the right person, you know. Anyway, long story short, that was the process. It was basically meeting with the director, writing a lot, coming in, doing stuff. I had to piece it together. I did take some of, obviously some of my comedy that I wanted to poke in about my family, and I tend to structure even my stand-up sets almost like a puzzle. Like I'll take it, I'll have a joke over here, copy and paste it, and like try to make the set flow. So it was really fun. I would love to do another solo show, but more silly. Like nothing to do with my life, just sort of, uh, silly.
Yeah. I like that. That's awesome. I wish that we could do that. Wish we could have somebody who would say, "Hey, I want to work an hour. I want to do this. Can we just keep meeting and working this out?" Because the 5 minute, 7 minute, maybe 10 minute times that you get on stage, it's not enough. It takes, because this is a whole thing to build an hour, and you don't build an hour by going 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 6 times. That's not how it works. You're working that same 5, 10, 7, whatever it is, over and over and over until, okay, this one's perfect. Now I got to start a new 5, 7, or
Yep.
10 and do it again. So yeah, having somebody do that is awesome. Now, did you write it out like a play format, or did you structure it like you did your stand up? Like, how did you do that?
It was kind of like, like my vision at first was that I was going to have a lot of stage, a lot of things that I was doing,
Right.
like with the clothes and books and blah blah blah. But it really ended up that it was more of me just kind of performing. So when I wrote it out, it's really, honestly, it's kind of just like a Word doc.
Okay.
It's like, I think it's almost 20 pages of just like text.
Wow.
And like every once in a while, I'd have a little note, like, about the clothes or the books or whatever, like to try to, but for the most part, it ended up being me with a funky stage setting behind me that I didn't interact with too much. But I would love to do that someday, make it a little bit more theatrical. Do you know who
Yeah.
Matt Berry is?
I know the name, but I don't know the person.
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
You know that show?
Yes.
So he is, oh God, what's his character on the show? He's the one who has the woman, the wife.
Yeah. Like, what is his name in the show? I know. I watch the show and I don't even. Let's see.
He's not like I'm a big.
He's like the fancy.
Listen,
he's like a fancy guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know his name. I know, it's so funny. You watch something so many times. Sorry, everyone listening. This is how it works sometimes.
So, meanwhile, Matt Berry's like, "Are you kidding me?"
He's like, "I've been on TV for 50 million years. What's wrong with you people?"
What is his character?
Oh, Laszlo.
Is that his name? Yeah,
yeah.
Laszlo. So,
and he's like, he's got the wife who hates him and stuff, dude. It's super funny.
Yeah. So he has this show called Toast of London.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that.
It's like, to me, it's just it's my dream to do something with the tone of that show. It's just silly, and it's almost Benny Hillish to some extent. But it's very British, I guess you would say, but also with a very silly and snarky way about it. So that, to me, that or doing like a mockumentary of something, that's so fun too.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that. I have an idea for a mockumentary that I want to do. That's a 3 on. There's a real thing, a 3 versus 3 improv troupe like thing that they do stuff.
Right.
So that's a real thing that happens. But I have like an idea for a mockumentary where 3 stand-up comedians who've never done improv get kicked out of their scene, and so they have to start over in improv. And the only other people they could find a partner with, because they're so toxic and nobody likes them, is each other. So they hate each other, and they end up in this like, and then they end up like in this kind of like Pitch Perfect, like where they're vying against other improv
Right.
troops and stuff. So that kind of style and stuff. So that's the idea. And I think it would be funny because I know a lot of comedians who also do improv, and it would be fun to like do that with real improvers who know what they're doing, so they can show how beautiful and amazing it is because it's really good. And then just like do it like that, the Christopher Guest style of mockumentary stuff. That's I
I
guess.
love it. I love it. That sounds
So
hysterical. I got to tell you, I think that that's the other thing that you know I love stand up as I feel like it was the first thing that I ever did to really be creative in public, and I am very grateful to it for that. But the one thing that I feel like I really crave is collaboration, and
yes,
I think that it's really hard in stand up to you don't get there's no way to really get that met unless you're doing like producing a show. It feels a little collaborative, but just stand up as a true form of what it is does not feed that part of me that needs to be fed.
yeah.
So
That's why I'm always jealous of my friends, the Verzi triplets, because there's three of them. They all get to work together all the time, so they always have
right.
each other. Because when you go on the road, if you don't go on the road with anybody, if you have to go by yourself, or whatever, it's so lonely to just travel. You're like, man, I'm by myself. This sucks. I want my friends to like come and hang and laugh or whatever, you know. So
I
you know,
know.
you
I
know what it's
know.
like.
It's brutal, man. It's funny because I remember, you know, 7, 8 years ago, Ophira Eisenberg lived in my neighborhood, and she's a comic, but she's also a big storyteller. And I remember running into her on the street and saying to her like, "What is the storyteller community like? Are they friendly?" Like I was like so like, oh, like can I come over there? It always stuck out in my mind because I'm like, I was thinking about that years ago, and I'm still kind of like trying to figure out how to make it happen that you have like you know, a sincere community, Anyway,
Yeah. And
yeah.
comedy sometimes feels cutthroat, right? It feels like you're competitive against everybody else for stage time. And so then comedians who you want to be friends with maybe don't necessarily want to be friends with you because they feel like you're taking stage time or vice versa or whatever. So it's such a weird thing. We're all trying to do the same thing, and there's a finite amount of stage space and stage time. And so instead of being a friendly, loving community like you would find in sketch or improv or some of those other things, it's almost like a dog eat dog world, which kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah, I know. And I also am involved with an improv place in New York called Improvolution. And I've been in and out of their group. Not I'm not in an improv group, but I mean in terms of their taking
Right.
classes and stuff like that. And every time right now I'm back doing a class with them. And every time I go back, I'm like, why aren't I doing this all the time? You know what I mean? Like I'm around fun people. I'm doing something fun. I really do believe improv helps with my life skills, with just like getting by in life, but on in a different way. So it's just, it's all a learning process, I guess. I'll probably be saying that when I'm 65.
Yeah, it's all a process. That's the best part about it is you grow and learn or whatever. I always think that not that I would ever want to be president, but if I got to be president, I would add like improv and stand up and all that stuff in school and make it a mandatory skill to learn because I think it would help so many people in so many situations deal with people correctly and understanding how people react to each other because I think we don't do that enough. I think school is so just like rigid. Like you learn this,
Oh,
you learn this, you learn this, regurgitate facts, blah, 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 and you're like,
yeah. There's no like consideration to like the psychology of humans and like
yeah,
being a
yeah,
kid is like so anxiety provoking. It's like help these poor kids deal with anxiety, and now with social media and everything, forget it. But I
right,
agree, I do think that like even I because I teach a workshop for women in stand up, and I really do, I'm trying to figure out a way to incorporate it into the workshop where I do believe that like writing and doing comedy unintentionally can help you with like mental health issues. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like because it really can help you to, sort of. put things into perspective if you can make a joke out of it, and also just to like release some anxiety about thoughts and opinions that you might kind of keep in your head that you're like, I don't know if I can share this.
Right.
So anyways, I think there's a lot of pluses to not just for the pure entertainment factor of comedy, but other things too.
Well, also, yeah, you're right. Dealing with life's issues, dealing with challenges and struggles, comedy helps you overcome that, right? You can laugh at things that are happening, even though that's terrible or things are terrible in your path. Comedy is a way to release that. And I think we don't teach that enough to people. And so we have everyone walking around stressed out and freaked out when that's unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. And I see it, I have two kids that are, one's in middle school, one's in high school. They're both, going to be in high school at the same time soon, freshman and senior. And it's like watching them going, wow, you guys are, wow, just laugh. Like there's,
yeah.
It's not that serious. It's like my daughter's like, I didn't do good on a test. I'm like, who cares? No one cares. No one cares. I don't care. Mark's like, don't say that. I'm like, who cares? When is the last time you went to a job and they're like, how do you do on your 7th grade English exam? And you're like, I don't know. They don't ask. They don't care. You don't care. No one cares.
Oh my God, that's so true. Or of course, then there's that one test that you're like, oh my God, yeah, when I misspelled Catholicism, I do remember that one.
Yeah.
No,
like it
crazy.
looks like here in 3rd grade you didn't spell bird right. And you're like, what?
Did you push Tommy Clancy around the swing set? You have anger management issues.
You're gonna have to go see HR right now.
Yeah. I don't know what we're gonna do about this.
That's the thing. It's so annoying. I feel like there's so many things in life that we can resolve with simple solutions. Everyone won't have to be in therapy if they're all doing improv. Although, to be fair, everyone will be doing improv everywhere after that. So they'll be like, you go somewhere like, would you like fries with that? Yes, and you're like, oh, come on,
It's so true.
That's an SNL sketch. Improv in real life, or just like someone yes ands everything everywhere they go.
Well, believe me, I try to get my boyfriend, like, we'll be having a conversation. I'll be like, listen, just yes and me. Just yes and me. It'll make things so much better.
That's good, like marriage dating advice. Just yes and her. Yeah. If you yes and her, you'll never get in a fight.
Yep, that's it, baby.
There's your new one woman show. Yes and me.
Oh my God!
Just go through all your dating stuff that you've gone through in your life, and just like why it didn't work out because he never yes and you or anything.
Yep, that would have solved a lot of problems.
So this is not going to drop in time for Saturday, November 5th in Laugh Boston in Boston. But Thursday, December 1st, Don't Tell Mama NYC, you'll be doing a show there. What show is going to be there?
It's called Less Bitter, More Glitter. So I did a duo album with my friend Katina Correa, who's very, very funny. She does a lot of characters and sketches and stand-up. But anyway, so we did this duo album called Less Bitter, More Glitter that was sort of supposed to be, on the positive tip, quote unquote. But then when my tracks went to Sirius XM, a lot of them were labeled explicit, which wow. I don't know why. I think maybe I said, a swear word or something. But anyway, so we're going to do that show. It's going to be the Christmas edition, and we'll have two guests with us that will, add to the glam.
That's so awesome.
Who they are, because they're going to be the surprise guests.
No, you don't have to do that. Is there where can people find you? Where can people follow you? Where can people go watch? When does Meatball Therapy drop? When does it come out?
So Meatball Therapy came out on Tuesday, October 25th. Right now it's on like Amazon, iTunes, all that stuff. You have to pay for it, rent it or buy it. I think in 90 days, if you have those streaming services, it will be free. So if you're, tough on your luck, you can wait the 90 days and see me then. But
it's inflation. It's inflation. Come on now.
Yep, exactly. And then I'm on Instagram at the other Kendra. My website is kendracunningham.com. I'm on like Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff, but probably I would say Instagram is my most active site.
Gotcha.
I'm not, I hate to be like, I'm trying to figure out my relationship with social media. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother conversation, James. I mean, that could go on for, anyway. So yeah, Instagram, I think, is probably the best way if you really want to see anything that's happened with me recently. Yeah.
Perfect. And what is the Blonde Logic t-shirt? I'm just curious because I see that on your site. I want to know what that is. Like what is that?
So Blonde Logic was my blog that I did for years. It's just a bunch of humorous essays. I have a sort of like a gift, a little pink book that's available on Amazon. It's almost like a gifty type book. It's fun, it's funky, and it has about 20 or 30 of my comedic essays in it. So yeah, I have that. And then I also have this, I'm trying to figure it out, a collaboration where I'm selling these sweatshirts, Aloha sweatshirts, and a percentage of the proceeds go to Bully Bust, which is a national program against bullying in schools. So those are also, I think they're on my website. If they're not, they're definitely on my Instagram.
All right. Yeah, I didn't see it on here. I think bullying is what made me a comedian, though. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
We should. Well, I definitely had some bullying too, but I think that bullying has gotten to be, it's different now.
It is. It is.
They've taken it to a whole new level.
Well, the other thing is, right, when we were kids, you could go home and bullying was done for the day. Right now it's on social media and people follow you home and they can write on your, Twitter, they can send you Snapchats, they can do whatever. And then you're dealing with it 24/7. So it's definitely going to get you. But as a kid, I'm not condoning bullying by any means.
Right.
But when I was a kid, like that was the way that I got thick skin. That's how I dealt with. That's how I learned to use comedy as a defense mechanism. That's how, I was a small kid. So, but I feel bad for these kids now because you can't escape it. You can't escape being bullied. Like, yes, you can have it at school, but then it can follow you home and it can never stop. And so it feels bad. So yeah, I'm down for that. I think we have to teach. Maybe that's why we need improv in school. Teach compassion and understanding and, dealing with conflict in a more positive way, because we don't do that anymore. And don't tell me dare. Dare does not work, okay? I don't care what anyone says. I know plenty of kids who did dare, and then all they learned was how to smoke out of an apple, okay? That's it.
Hey, listen, I'm no argument here.
We all know that kid who was like kind of quiet and you're like, he's gonna do stuff later. He's gonna be a little weird. And then they brought in Dare, and next thing you know, every apple he could get his hand on, he's trying to dig out and make a pipe out of. Like, what are you doing? You taught Billy the wrong stuff. I swear to you, the only reason I know anything about drugs and how to use them properly is because of Dare. They're like, okay, this is how you do heroin. I'm like, I don't need to know that.
Oh my God, too funny.
I don't. Well, thank you so much for being on. Thanks for being guest. Thanks for reaching out. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to find this. You're like, again, you guys have to go watch Meatball Therapy. I watched a trailer and was dying laughing, so I can't wait to watch the whole special. I haven't got to watch it yet. I didn't know it was out yet. Unfortunately, no one told me that. I could only see the trailer, so now everyone knows. It's out. Go watch it. It's on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Google Play, Vimeo, so wherever you want to watch it, you can watch it. Kendra, thank you. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want to say?
No, but thank you so much for having me. This has been super fun.
Yeah, no problem. Don't hop off yet, but I will. Okay. We're going to do a shout out there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. Go check out Kendra's stuff. I'll put all her stuff in the show notes below. So thank you so much. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.